Imagine you have two different houses. They're both built in the same year. They're both the same amount of square footage. They're both the same amount of beds and baths and garage stalls, and they're on the same size lot. Except one of these houses, its monthly payment is $400 higher than the other house. How is this possible? This is possible because of special assessment taxes. Special assessment taxes are a separate tax from your normal property tax that is unique to the state of North Dakota and up in this northern side of Minnesota in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Special assessments can influence a monthly payment by a lot, even though the house size doesn't switch. So that's why it's important to know special assessments, what they are, why we have them, what are the pros of having special assessments, what are the cons of having special assessments, what is the public reaction to special assessments, and how do they affect you as someone who's a homeowner or someone who's considering becoming a homeowner here in this Fargo-Moorhead area. That's what I'm going to be breaking down in this video on the Living in Fargo-Moorhead YouTube channel. I'm Zach Sykora. I'm a local real estate agent here in the area. I make a lot of videos to give people information on the housing market, houses available, things in this Fargo-Moorhead area, new stuff happening. So if you want more information on this Fargo-Moorhead area or you're considering moving to or from this region, you can reach out to me through all my contact information in the description below, or you can call my cell phone number, which will be on the screen right here. So this video, today I'm jumping right into it. We're talking about special assessments. Special assessments are a huge thing and kind of a shock I see when people move from other sides of the country to this Fargo-Moorhead area. So this will be a really good video to break them down so you have a full understanding of what they are, why we have them, and how they affect you as someone in the area. So first up, I just want to define what special assessments are. Special assessments are extra charges from the city for improvements on your specific property that are charged in the form of tax that are separate from your normal property taxes. So you'll pay your normal property taxes, then you'll also be paying special assessments if your property has any. So some very common projects are for like sewer lines, or if they're redoing a new road, or that sort of thing. And the one thing is, it's only properties that are benefited by the improvement that will have specials on it. So the way specials work is the city will pay for the project up front, and then they'll use something called a special assessment bond. What basically it is a loan to have that work done that will be paid by the homeowners over time. So as the same of mortgage, for your specials, you're gonna be paying principal and you're gonna be paying interest. So when you're looking at specials, like even if you're not buying a house or if you're just looking around, it can be broken up in a couple of different ways. So you have your special assessment installment. So that's what you're gonna be paying yearly for your special assessments. So let's say it's a $1,200 yearly installment of specials. Then it's gonna be $120 added to your monthly payment every month. Now, assessment balance is the total number of specials remaining on your property. So let's say your house has $12,000 in total specials remaining, and then, now let's do an easier number, $10,000 in total specials remaining with a $1,000 installment yearly. So it's gonna take 10 years for those specials to be paid off. So that is for active specials on properties. The big concern and the big thing people have, or maybe they don't see when they're moving into properties, is something called pending specials. So pending specials is projects that are happening in the future that the city is putting special assessments on that property. Now, sometimes people don't realize they may look at a property when they buy it in January and it has only $10,000 in specials, but then by the time it gets to next January, it has $25,000 in specials because there is $15,000 in pending specials. So that's where I think the really big misconception is, and where people, don't necessarily see it all the time, is if there's pending specials. Now, the thing with pending specials, a lot of times the city doesn't know how much this project is going to actually cost. So there may be a range of numbers. It may be higher, it may be lower, and never is it actually lower than what they say, just saying. But it's usually at that number or maybe a little bit higher of what special assessments are going to be, but it is added on to your normal special assessment balance. So you got to keep that in mind of the difference between your installment, your balance, pending specials, and any other specials coming to your property. And if you're interested or curious of what the special assessments are on your house or a house you're buying, a lot of times it's my job as a real estate agent to call the city to make sure there's no pending specials. But you can find all special assessments on, your tax search, Cass County's taxes, Fargo parcels, all that sort of thing. They'll all have tax information, and I'll link all those websites down below for the different cities of Fargo, Moorhead, Horace, and West Fargo, just so you have them if you are curious on your property, your totals, or on a property you are purchasing. But it's always good to make sure you know how many pending specials are on your property and what specials are to come in the future. Now, why does the Fargo-Moorhead area have specials? Fargo is one of the only cities in the whole entire country that has specials, along with the rest of North Dakota. Now, why is this? First off, because it's allowed through the legal authority in the state law. So you're allowed to have specials in this state of North Dakota. And the big thing is it allows for rapid growth of cities. And if you've seen any of my other videos or you know about Fargo, Fargo has grown substantially in the last couple of years, especially West Fargo and especially Horace. So this allows that rapid infrastructure growth and the rapid growth without being a full blanket rise on taxes. It's something called the benefit received principle, which means those who benefit from projects pay for projects. Because if I live up in North Fargo and there's a project happening down in Horace, a lot of the times I would not want to be taxed for that project, even though it's not directly affecting my property. That's a reason why specials are chosen to be done here. So it's very common here. Every single city has them. Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, Dilworth, Horace. All the cities here have it. It is also common across the rest of the state of North Dakota and some parts of Minnesota, but is most common and most notable here in the Fargo-Moorhead area because of how fast the growth has been in this region. Another reason for this is if you are looking to grow an area and you want to have the state funds or the federal funds, those funds can take a long time to get processed, to get sent to you, so you can actually begin the work. So with how fast West Fargo and Fargo have grown, to have to wait to rely on all these funds from the city and the federal government, it would take way too long, and the schools would be even more packed than they already are. There would not be enough houses or apartments for people to live in. So that's another reason for specials, and that will kind of hop right into our next section, which will be the pros and cons of special assessments. Obviously, major pro, it allows the city to grow fast, which Fargo-Moorhead has grown fast and is adapted to that. And it does support that growth without having to tax those unaffected residents. And it allows those big projects to happen quickly. So that's some of the major pros, especially for on looking at from the city side. Now for homeowners, there are some pros too. One of the major pros I think that people don't realize is, let's say you're in a position where you're thinking of selling your home and you need a new sewer line. Now you would not really want to pay for that sewer line and then have to sell the house and move it on to the next person, because you're not going to get that money you put into the sewer line back towards you as a homeowner. So what you can do actually is have that work done. So you have your sewer line replaced. Then if you sell your house, it'll just be put on the special assessments. So then it'll be the responsibility of the next homeowner to take over those special assessments and hence to take over that sewer line, the fix of that and the responsibility of that, without you as a homeowner having to pay for that full up front when it's like a $10,000 to $15,000 fix. Now this is just one example of that, of how it can be done, but there's a lot of different things that can be done with specials to structure it that way. But you also got to think, if there is a house with $15,000 in specials and $0 in specials, they're very similar. Which house is a buyer going to pick? So you also got to think about it as a marketing perspective if you're looking to sell your house, but it can also be a thing of, if you don't want to pay up a $15,000 payment right away, put it on specials and just add it to your normal taxes, taken out of escrow, that sort of thing. So that's one of the options that homeowners do have here in Fargo that I think is a pro of special assessment taxes. Only properties improved by the specials will have specials. So I think that is a pro, even though some people may disagree with me. They're like, they have no choice between if they do this project or if they don't do this project, but it increases your property value if those specials, once they get paid off, then your house looks better from curb appeal, if it's new roads, don't have to worry about sewer lines, that sort of thing. So I think those are some of the pros of specials. It's allowed us to grow really fast here in this Fargo-Moorhead area. Obviously, there's always pros and cons, which I'll hop in the cons right now of special assessments and how they affect people. And then I'll kind of get into a little bit of the stigma of special assessments, what people's reactions and thoughts are. Many people have probably heard about the people in Horace who are suing the city of Horace over special assessments. And I just want to know, what are your thoughts on special assessments here in this Fargo-Moorhead area? Do you think we should have them? Do you think we shouldn't have them? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Just let me know your thoughts on special assessments all down in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear what you got to say. Now we'll jump into some of the cons of special assessments and how they're affecting homeowners here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Obviously, one big con for the city straight up is it causes a lot of backlash and it causes a lot of political headache for the city when, like I just mentioned before, if I'm a homeowner and I live in a neighborhood, the road, I think it's fine. Then they come in and repave it and then I get hit with specials. I'm probably not very happy as a homeowner. So you also want to have that balance through the city mindset of distributing the specials in a fair cost distribution way to that neighborhood and to the people that are affected by the infrastructure fixes or the roads or the sewer lines or whatever it is. Then also it obviously increases the risk of unpaid bills, which lead to liens and more foreclosures, which is ultimately just more work for the city. But it does allow them to grow in a very fast way like we have, and the cost can be huge. So some of the major cons for homeowners, this is a section where a lot of people agree with and a lot of people do not like special assessment taxes. But the special assessments, especially on new construction homes, where you gotta think that whole area is brand new, the road's new, the sewer line's new, they're putting in parks, all that sort of thing, they're all new. Those houses can have upwards of over $100,000 in specials just on one house, depending on the size of the lot. So that can reduce a lot of affordability, and it can kind of be like smoke and mirrors to see, oh, this house is, listed at $350,000, but it has $60,000 in specials. So it can kind of give people false hope, or it can make it seem like they can afford something when they really can't. And it can just kind of be that smoke and mirrors thing I just talked about. But those costs can be huge. And it's always those newer areas. The newer the house was built, the more likely it is to have specials on it. There is a lot of houses here with zero specials because they're in North Fargo, where their area's been there for 70 years. All the specials are paid off and all the infrastructure is already there. So that's one of the things about new construction that I think can, again, be that smoke and mirrors, just like I've said about 20 times already. The smoke and mirrors to make it think it's affordable when it's actually not. And again, another reason, it can surprise people. Like the pending specials I talked about in the beginning of this video, if you have pending specials and you don't know how much they are, and you buy a house, then they end up being $10,000 more than what you anticipated for, that changes your monthly payment by a lot. Now that's horrible. You should not ever not know how much your specials are when you're buying a house, but sometimes you just don't know. So that's why you gotta be really careful, and you have no control when those projects are done by the city, or if they're gonna have projects in the future, or that sort of thing. So those are some of the major cons for homeowners about specials. But you gotta think again, just to go back to the pros, we would not be able to grow as fast as we're growing in this Fargo-Moorhead area without special assessment taxes. And it's only for properties directly contributed to the infrastructure fixes. I know from my standpoint, my house in North Fargo, if there was work being done in South Fargo, I don't want to pay taxes for that work. But if there's work being done on my street, I would be more likely to be amped to pay taxes on it. So something to keep in mind, and those are some of the pros and cons. I'm just here to try to give you as much information about specials so you can make the best decision possible for your situation when buying or selling a home. So obviously I just touched on it a little bit. I just want to go back into what are the areas with high specials, what are the areas with low specials, how do I know how many specials are on my property? Again, like I said before, all the websites of every single city and their tax search will be in the description of this video. If you want to see what your specific property has in specials remaining in years left, in the city of Moorhead and in some cities of the city of Fargo, depending on your property, will tell you what projects were actually done for these specials and how much is left, interest rate, all that sort of thing. So those will all be in the description. But obviously, the areas of new construction are the areas with higher specials. Because of all that infrastructure built in, all those areas, they're gonna have high specials because you need to build all this stuff to put around the houses. Again, areas with older homes, older neighborhoods, they're gonna have low specials. The most common specials you'll kind of see on those older neighborhoods or older homes are sewer lines. A lot of times they'll need to redo those sewer lines because they're lead pipe or whatever it is. So they'll put specials on those properties, kind of like I touched on earlier. But that's kind of the general conciseness. You always want to double check for your specific property because there's some new construction homes with $0 in specials because the builder paid them off or a homeowner paid them off. So you just got to know that, but no, generally the newer the house, the higher the special. Now I just want to touch on a little bit of what people are saying about specials, how their reaction to them. Obviously, there's the Horace lawsuit going on. I don't have any update on that, nor do I really want to get into the weeds on that lawsuit from somebody who owns a house in Horace to the city of Horace. But many people are feeling blindsided by this because they didn't know about specials before buying, or they didn't know how they worked, or they didn't know if there's any pending specials. And obviously, it feels like the developers are benefiting while the homeowners are paying for the specials, that sort of thing. So a lot of people are angry about this. They feel it doesn't feel fair, it doesn't feel transparent, and there's a lot of task force who are trying to break this, but the debate, it's gonna continue to go on. And the thing is, Fargo would probably not be able to grow as much as it had without special assessments. And if I, as a homeowner, wanna only pay taxes on the things that directly impact my property. Now, is it good that people get blindsided by specials, that they have $80,000 in specials they didn't know about? Absolutely not. But there's no such thing as a middle ground because we have to grow, but we also have to make everybody happy. So it's really hard to find that balance. And for specials here in Fargo, North Dakota, they're not going away anytime soon. So just something to deal with if you're thinking about buying or selling a home here in this Fargo-Moorhead area. If you want to know more information about how specials directly affect you as your home or for your area of neighborhood or where you want to live, you can reach out to me through all my contact information in the description below and give me a call, and I'd be happy to give you some more information.